Hello, Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. Welcome back to another flow in the Mindful Morning series. I really hope you've been enjoying these flows and they've been setting you up for your day, or being any part of your day is absolutely great. So we are going to start this all levels practice in a lying position on the mat. So coming down to that comfortable lying position when you're ready. I want you to let the feet drop out to the side. Bring the arms out to the side with the palms of the hands facing the ceiling, and then start to close down the eyes or take a steady gaze. Connecting with your breathing. Noticing your inhales and your exhales and how your body moves with your breath. And thinking about the Niyama Svadyaya today, which is our niyama of self-study. So this is all about deep self-reflection, striving to know ourselves, to understand ourselves. So understanding the you that lies behind the ego or that outside shell. And the deeper understanding of this as well is that knowing yourself allows and helps you to know all human beings, in the sense that although we may feel quite different at times and we are unique and different, we are intrinsically connected. There are certain things about being a human being that we can all resonate with. So the theme of today, being Svadyaya, is all about turning our gaze inwards, having that deep reflection for ourselves throughout the practice and beyond. Being the observer, being the watcher, observing your thoughts, your emotions. And now, keeping the eyes closed if that's comfortable, I want you to start to hug your right knee in towards the chest. And as you do this, imagine pressing down through the heel of the left foot. And now starting to open the eyes if you had them closed. Start to take a gentle stretch through the back of that right leg, so you can interlace the hands behind the shin or the calf or the ankle, depending on what feels right for you. Just stretching into the back of that right leg. Remembering it does not have to be straight. Just working where you need to be today in this practice. Nice, and release the right leg, let the right leg drop down to the mat. And we'll come to the other side, so drawing in the left knee in towards the chest, taking a hug. Hands can be around the shin or the back of the thigh. And then just gently press down through that right heel as you hug the left knee in towards the chest. Then lengthening through the left leg. Hands can come behind the thigh or to the back of the calf or ankle, finding that stretch into the back of that right leg. Staying with your breaths, trying to breathe, taking equal breaths. Now releasing the left leg, let the left leg drop down to the mat and just take a gentle shift of the hips from side to side here. Might feel a bit funny. Shifting the hips side to side. And then draw both knees in towards the chest this time. We're going to bring the hands behind the thighs. And starting to use your core, I want you to start to try and build up some momentum. So we're rocking back and forth. And then see if you can build up some momentum to rock us up to standing. No worries if that does not work for you, just meet us here. And exhale, bring the hands through to heart center. From here, one of my favorites, just release the arms and the hands, and I want you to shake it out. Shake the hands, the wrists, the arms. Take some softness through the legs. Maybe you can start to come down a little bit lower. Such a lovely way to release tension and stress from the body, but also a really nice way, taking it up high if that feels good. To, in an energetic sense, release anything now that's not serving you. Shake it off. Nice. So come back to stillness, standing in your Tadasana mountain pose. Inhale, reach your fingertips up to the sky. Lift your ribs away from your hips. Surya Namaskar A. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the legs as much as you need to. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, find a halfway lift. Hands could be on the shins or the thighs or the mat. Lengthening the spine. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Step the feet back to plank. And then move through your version of Chaturanga. So you're either on the inhale going to come into a cobra or an upward facing dog. If you're taking upward facing dog, make sure that the thighs are coming away from the mat. If that's not accessible, then taking a cobra instead. Exhale, send the hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Lifting the hips here. Imagine that you've got a string coming from your hips to the sky, lifting the hips up. Really finding that length through the spine. Inhale, send the gaze between the hands, step the feet in, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, come back to your halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the legs as much as you need to. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up to the sky, grow the spine tall. Exhale, hands come through to heart center. From here, we'll step our left foot back to find a high lunge. So right leg's bent, check that your front knee is in line with the ankle. And then inhale, sweep the fingertips up to the sky, lift up and out from the pelvis, growing the spine tall. Back leg doesn't have to be straight, you can keep some bend in it. Exhale, float the hands through to heart center. Inhale, find that lift again. And on your exhale, I want you to twist to the right. So we're twisting from the waist. So you're either going to stay high up and just take a really subtle twist, or your next option is to hook your left elbow on the outside of that right thigh, and you're pressing the palms of the hands together, sending the gaze up to the ceiling. Okay, so this is coming a lot deeper into the twist here. So if this doesn't feel right for you, then take the first option, always listening to your body. There's no right or wrong choice if you're listening to what your body needs today. Inhale, come back through to center and start to open out to a warrior two. So left heel comes down to the mat. Arms reach out to the side. Send your gaze over your right fingertips. Strong arms, relaxed shoulders. See if you can sink down into that left leg. And then start to lengthen through your left leg, your right leg now, sorry. Sink down into your right leg was what I was going for. Inhale, reach forwards with the right fingertips, forwards, 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 and then tipping from the waist, open into your Trikonasana. So this right hand could be much higher up and could be on the inside of your right thigh, and you can bring this left hand down to the hip if you need to, and just imagine shining your heart towards the ceiling. If you're coming lower down, then you could be working with the hand on the inside of the shin. Maybe that hand's coming down to the ankle. Breathing here. Sending your gaze up to the sky. Imagine that you're shooting energy through the left fingertips. Up to the ceiling. Inhale, start to come back to a warrior two position. And then you're going to step this left foot in, a block, or you're going to take the modified version. So if you're working with a block, your right hand's coming to the block and you're reaching that left leg away. So you're in the side plane of the body, working here. The modified version would be to have that right leg bent and be working here, or hand could be on the ground, or you're bringing your right hand straight down to the mat. So see what works for you. Maybe the gaze can come up to the ceiling. Ardha Chandrasana. Stay with the breath. If you're coming in and out of the pose, just know that that is part of this practice. Come in and out of the pose as many times as you need to. So we're going to come back up now, so coming away from your half moon, and stand to the top of your mat in your Tadasana mountain pose. Taking a few grounding breaths here before we come onto the other side. So coming back to our Niyama Svadyaya, taking this time for some self-study, self-reflection. So I want you to close down the eyes or take your gaze out in front. And we'll start with noticing how the ground feels beneath your feet. Notice if there's a natural sway within the body. Maybe you can feel energy or sensations in the hands or the fingers. And start to notice any thoughts passing through the thinking mind. Knowing that these thoughts are not you, you are the one observing them. So we don't have to judge any of these thoughts or label them as good or bad. We can just observe and allow them to come and go, treating them as visitors passing through. And checking in with how you're feeling today. Whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically. Asking yourself that question, allowing space for whatever the answer is. Knowing that how you're feeling today, right now, is going to be different to tomorrow, next week or next month or next year, and that's okay. opening your eyes back up now. When you're ready, just allow yourself to come back into the physical body. And we'll come to the other side. So the left foot's at the front of the mat. Step your right foot back, find a high lunge. Remember, you can keep a bend in that back leg if you need to. You can even drop it completely down here. So take what you need. Inhale, reach the fingertips up to the sky, lift up and out from the waist. Exhale, float the hands through to heart center. Inhale, find that length first. Exhale, twist to the left. You could be staying higher up here, just taking a small twist, or you can start to bring the right elbow to the left thigh, pressing the hands together, lifting the belly away from the thigh, sending your gaze up to the ceiling. Stay with your breath. Inhale, come back through to center and open out to your warrior two. Right heel draws down to the mat. Hands come up to out to the side, gazes over the left fingertips, sinking down into that left leg. Now start to lengthen through the left leg. Reach forwards with the left fingertips, forwards, forwards, forwards. Then tipping from the waist, open out into your Trikonasana. Keep pressing the feet down and away into the mat to stabilize. Gaze is coming to the ceiling. And remember that if you're finding that you're needing to round a lot here to come into the pose, that could be a sign that you need to come up higher, but prioritize keeping the space across the chest. Inhale, float back to your warrior two position. Hands can come in, you can step that back foot in, grab your block or take your modified version, and we'll flow into our Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose. So left leg's the balancing leg this time, right leg comes away, balancing here. Staying with the breath, taking the gaze up to the ceiling if that works for you. Adding a little another dimension into the balance. Well done. And come away from your half moon pose. Standing at the top of the mat. Inhale, reach your fingertips up to the sky, lift up and out from the waist. Exhale, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Inhale, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, find a halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Step the feet back, drop the knees down. So we're all going to drop the knees straight down. And then walk your hands in and we're going to bring the hips down to the mat. Bring your legs out in front. Bring the hands behind the thighs. And we're going to take a gentle rock back and forth, and finally meeting in a lying position. See if you can do it with control. Bring the legs down to the mat. So now from here we're going to work into a finishing sequence of shoulder stand, plow pose and ear pressure pose. Now if that finishing sequence does not work for you, if you would rather have another option, what you're going to take instead is your legs up the wall pose with a block. If you have a wall to hand, you can start to bring your legs up the wall and you're going to work there. If you don't have a wall or you want to do it with the block, you're popping the block under the sacrum and then you're lifting the legs up like so. I'm working here instead. You could also take a supported bridge with the block under the hips. Okay, so the choice is yours. This finishing sequence that we're going to do is a really nice way to practice Svadyaya because we are really curling the body inwards on itself, especially for plow pose and ear pressure pose. So it's a symbol of this internal reflection, this deep internal reflection and self-study. So, starting with our shoulder stand, keep the chin tucked in towards the chest, the head's really nice and straight. Draw your pelvis up and in towards the body first, and then start to lift the hips up to the sky. So coming into your bridge pose. And then seeing from here if you can take the hands to the lower back, and then maybe you can kick up from here to your shoulder stand. If you want to rock up to shoulder stand instead, you absolutely can. Just make sure that you're supporting your body. You can also prop cushions underneath the shoulders if you need to as well. So just take what you need here. Breathing. The shoulder stands also, this sequence is also a nice way to connect to Vishuddhi, our throat chakra. So this is all about connecting to our voice, speaking our truth, our voice having a place in this world. So from your shoulder stand, starting to come into our plow pose. So the legs are coming over the head. You could be bringing your legs again to a chair or something else here if you want to keep the legs higher up. So a lot of spinal flexion here. So stretching the spine. We're also practicing pratyahara, our withdrawal of the senses. So when we're sending our gaze inwards, when we're doing that deep self-reflection, when we're being the observer, we're tuning out from a lot of those external things going on in the outside world, stimulating our senses. We're withdrawing from that to do the inner work. And then coming into your ear pressure pose, if that's in your practice. So we're bringing the knees towards the ears and squeezing them in. If that feels good to you, remember, only take options that feel right and good for you. And then starting to come out, so see if you can come out as you came in. So maybe making your way back to your shoulder stand. Perhaps you can float back down to bridge position. And slowly release everything back down to the mat. So if you just did that sequence, it's quite a strong place to be. So we're going to counter pose with our Matsyendrasana, which is our fish pose. So for fish pose, we're lengthening through the legs and we're walking the hands under the hips or under the bottom, palms facing down. And what we're going to do is you start to press your forearms into the mat and puff up through the chest and drop the head back. We're not putting loads of pressure into the head here. The pressure is actually going into the forearms. So we're opening into the throat, into the chest, the heart center. Well done, and release back down to lying. Bring the arms out to the side, let the feet drop out to the side, and just let the head and the shoulders hang heavy. Find some slow and soft breaths, inhaling and exhaling. And let your shoulders and your hips sink down into the mat. Imagine just letting go of anything that's not serving you. Allowing that to be released from the body. And if you're ready to finish the practice, I'm going to take a gentle roll over to one side, whichever side works for you. Just pausing here, let the practice absorb. And then from here, just gently bring yourself back to a comfortable seated position on your mat. And then starting to open the eyes back up when you're ready. Thank you so much for being here and practicing with me. I hope you've enjoyed this practice. Do feedback to me on how you're getting on, and do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate you being here and coming and doing these flows with me. Link below to the other things that I offer. I do have an online retreat coming up in January, and I would love to see you there. And we'll be delving into the chakras and elements, doing some yoga, meditation, journaling. So do have a look at that. And I can't wait to see you again for more practices very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.